Thank you, Judge. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you tell the jury what you do for a living?
Yes, I work at the DCI, which is the Division of Criminal Investigations Crime Laboratory. So I work in the toxicology section as well as on the crime scene team.
Can you just briefly tell us what the toxicology section is?
So the toxicology section tests blood and urine for drugs.
Okay. And the crime scene team, can you tell us about that?
Yes, so as a member of the crime scene team, we're on call a few times a year, and we will go out to assist cities or towns with homicides or crime scenes that they aren't able to handle themselves.
What is your training and experience?
So in the crime scene team, I have a year-long or a week-long course at the Iowa Association of Identification. It was put on in 2016. It was a week-long course on basic crime scene school. And then in 2017, I attended the Advanced Crime Scene School put on by the same association.
As part of your experience, you visited various crime scenes over the years?
I have.
As part of were you part of the investigation that brings us to this courtroom today?
I was.
Okay. Can you tell us what your involvement was in this investigation?
So my partner, Madison Martin, and I went to a residence at 2798 Iowa Highway 8 in Traer, Iowa. And we were asked to process that residence for trace amounts of blood and any other items that may have evidential value to the death investigation that occurred in 2021. And this was in 2024.
Do you know what month in 2024?
In May.
Okay. So will around May 8th or on or about May 6th, I believe, would have been the date?
Yes, May 8th.
Did you have some instructions or some knowledge of some of the things that you would be looking for at this residence?
Yes, we did.
Did you know the owner of this residence?
We were informed that Mr. Huston Danker was the residence of that address.
So you're going to this residence in Traer believing that the owner would be Mr. Huston Danker?
Yes.
Can you tell us what are some of the things that you were tasked with doing at this residence?
Yes, so like I said, we were screening for trace amounts of blood. So we used some of our reagents called Blue Star to search for blood. And we also were informed that Mr. Danker may have been wearing a red or maroon sweatshirt and blue jeans at the time. So we searched the residence for that type of clothing as well.
So you're looking for items of clothing?
Correct.
And you're also looking for presence of blood at the residence?
That's correct.
Can you describe the residence for the jury briefly?
Yes, so the residence was located out kind of in the country. It was a 2-story house with a basement. There was a machine shed as well as kind of a detached garage, additional shed around the building with some grain bins or silos as well on the property.
What do you do when you go to a crime scene like this? What are some of the things that you do?
Well, the first thing we do is we kind of take what's called like an outside-in approach. So we'll photograph the exterior of the residence and then photograph the interior as we walk through for the first time. One person will do the photos and the other person begins sketching the scene and taking notes. And we do this sort of initial documentation in order to document the scene as it was when we arrived before we end up searching or processing anything.
You talked about there being one of the things you're tasked to was to look for the presence of blood. How do you do that from your analysis standpoint?
So one of the screening reagents we use is called Blue Star. And so Blue Star is really helpful to better visualize blood stains when you can't see them with your naked eye. So when you spray it on, it will do a chemiluminescence reaction where basically it glows blue if it comes in contact with small amounts of blood.
So it's a chemical reagent that will be able to tell the presence or absence of blood?
Yes.
Could you explain the process of applying that blue star?
So in this process, since the reaction glows blue, the first thing we have to do is make the room as dark as possible in order to better visualize that. Once we can make the room as dark as possible, we'll spray the blue star over an area and then document where we see any sort of what we call positive reactions or that glowing blue reaction, yeah.
Was there a way that you handled the scene in terms of either cutting it into quadrants or separating it into certain sections?
Yes. So the areas we sprayed, we kind of separated out as far as where the most foot traffic would be, because we were told there might be potential blood on a person's shoe in the area. So we sprayed the entryway at the beginning of the residence first, and then proceeded in to spray the kitchen area as well.
Can you describe what you found in the various areas that you sprayed for this blue star?
So in the entryway, we saw some positive reactions on the carpet and kind of a more larger area towards the center. So we ended up collecting that entire carpet to bring back for our DNA section. And we also collected a white rug that was in that area as well.
When you say a positive reaction, what do you mean by that?
I'm sorry.
When you say a positive reaction, what does that mean?
So that means that that blue star may have come in contact with trace amounts of blood in the carpet.
So it's just an indication that maybe someone tracked some blood, or there's some blood that it's saying there could be some positive for blood on that carpet.
Yes, there's potential for that.
There's some evidence that you found suggesting someone attempted to clean up the carpet or the blood?
It's difficult to say if there was any, I can't tell.
Moving to the kitchen, what did you find?
When we sprayed the kitchen floor, we had a couple small positive reactions on just various areas on the kitchen floor. We just swabbed those areas with cotton swabs to take back to our DNA section.
And as part of what you're testifying to, you stated you take pictures of what you see?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Well, did that happen in this, when you did this?
Yes, we did.
Permission to approach?
You may.
What's been marked as State Exhibit 261 through 266. Do you recognize what 261 through 266 will be?
I do.
What are they?
They are photos that we took at the crime scene.
Okay. Now, do they fairly and accurately depict what you took at that time?
They do.
Okay. We move to admit 261 through 266.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. No objection, then exhibits 261 through 266 are admitted.
We'll move to publish.
You may. Do you have them ready to go? All right. Hold on.
Are
Whenever
you
you're
able
ready.
to see what has been admitted as 261?
I can.
You talked about some footwear that you are looking for with a specific pattern. What footwear and what pattern were you looking for?
So there was a footwear impression that was found by the initial crime scene team with a diamond-shaped sort of pattern. So that was the type of pattern that we were looking for on the bottom of these shoes.
Did you, as part of your being in this residence, locate footwear that had what you were looking for in terms of a diamond-shaped pattern?
We believe this pattern was fairly consistent with the footwear impression that was found at the scene.
262, would that be where you found the shoe in this house that belonged to Huston Danker?
Yes, this is in the entryway with the carpet and the black Vans. That's where they were located.
Okay. And you described those shoes as a type of shoes called Vans?
Yes, correct.
Fair enough to say 263 is a close-up of that same Vans
Yes.
shoes? What do we see on 264?
So this is a photo of the entryway after we removed the carpet, and we applied Blue Star to the underside of the carpet as well, for that surface.
So, in other words, is that how it appears with the Blue Star?
No, that's actually a flashlight shining onto the floor because the whole room was dark, so we were trying to get a photo of the floor with the flashlight on it.
How would you describe the floor that you took this picture of?
Well, this is after the carpet was removed, so there's kind of like an adhesive, sticky tack on the floor at that point in time.
Okay, and this is when you'd remove the carpet to that floor.
Yes, this is after the carpet was removed.
What do we see on 265?
This is the same area with just the flashlight moved off to the side. I believe this was before we applied Blue Star to it.
What about 266?
This is another, the same area with the flashlight in a different space.
You describe the shoes that you took photos of. Did you collect those shoes for evidence purposes?
We did.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State Exhibit 300 for the purposes of identification. Do you recognize what 300 is?
I do.
Are those the same Vans shoes that you testified to photographing and taking from these residents?
They are.
And there are a pair, there's another pair of these. Do they accurately depict what you took on that day?
Yes.
We'll move to admit State Exhibit 300.
Any objections, Mr. Baker?
None, Your Honor.
State's Exhibit 300 is admitted.
I will publish here to the jury. Were there electronic devices that you also secured from these residents?
Yes, we collected 3 cell phones.
Do you remember can you describe what cell phones you collected?
There were 2 white iPhones in the kitchen. One had a green case on it, as well as 1 black iPhone in the sort of dining room area on the piano.
And fair enough to say these were taken to the lab for further testing too?
I believe we transferred the custody to Special Agent Villata at the scene, so he took those.
Was there presence of firearms or ammunition or any ballistic evidence that you recovered from Huston Danker's residence?
Yes, we recovered 14 22 caliber fired shell casings from the outdoor, kind of around the porch area of the residence.
We just have a minute, Judge.
You may.
I have no further questions. Thank you.